Hey YouTube, what is going on? Welcome to the Straight SRT8 YouTube channel. Today we're talking about changing out HID headlight bulbs. So for those of you who don't have an SRT model and you have standard halogen bulbs instead, this is not the video for you. This is explicitly for HID bulbs. Now, I did go ahead and kind of cheat. I recorded this intro today and did the actual work yesterday. So I kind of already know what we're getting into. So a few quick tips and tricks before the video begins. If this is your first time changing out your bulbs, maybe you've done it before in other cars and it seemed pretty straightforward, and this is your first time changing it out in an SRT, just know it takes a little bit of practice to actually nail this correctly. I've changed out plenty of bulbs in other vehicles. I began recording this as I was going through it and changing it out. It took a lot longer than I thought it was going to. It was quite frustrating. Point being that the way the bulbs are secured in there is kind of tough, and then the way you actually get access to it is also very tough. So you kind of have to like squeeze your hand in there in awkward positions and try and apply force to undo this locking ring, which is quite difficult. Anyway, plan about a solid hour to 2 hours to change out both of your headlights. Now, as you'll find out in the video, I did one in about an hour. It was a big learning curve, and then did the other one in about 12 or so minutes. So just note that if you have a lot of experience, it may take you an hour, and for those who have zero experience, it may take you up to upwards of 2 hours just to change out your individual headlight bulbs. It's also beneficial to have a step stool. Sometimes leaning over into the car, into the engine bay can be a little bit difficult, especially when you're trying to apply force at awkward angles, so maybe easier with a step stool. With that being said, let's get to the video. So before we begin, we'll cover just some quick basics. So the HID bulb itself is located right back here behind this lens. So on the outside of the vehicle for driver and for passenger. On the driver's side, there's not much space here. The air box is in the way. So we're going to go ahead and remove this air filter box. We're going to get more space for our hands. Depending on the size of your hand, you may be okay reaching back here on the passenger side. I know that my hands reach back there. But the ECU may need to be moved also if you have larger hands too. So we'll get to that in a little bit. Once you reach your hands back there, there's going to be like a little plastic gasket kind of thing. Looks like this. This is used to create a nice airtight seal. There's a little rubber grommet right here. That creates an airtight seal for your light to make sure that it remains fog free. If you get fog in there, then you start having issues with the headlight not being as powerful because it can't push through that fog, which reduces the visibility at night. So it is important to make sure your headlights do remain fog free. So once you go ahead and remove that, you're going to see something similar to this. So I went to Advanced Auto Parts and bought this HID replacement bulb. I bought 2 pairs. This is the other one. I always replace headlights in pairs. Once one goes, the other one's very likely to go right along with it. In my case, it's been about 5 years where I haven't changed these bulbs, so they're both ready to get replaced. If it turns out you replace it within a year, then you're probably fine to not replace both because it's probably a defect. So these are HID bulbs. HID is high intensity discharge, and they are called xenon because there is xenon gas inside these bulbs. So HIDs, you need to be very careful with installation. You need to make sure you don't actually touch the bulb itself or get any dirt, oil, or anything on top of it. Same thing goes for when you're placing it into the actual housing in the headlight. You want to make sure you don't get any grease or oil or dirt, and as you can see, my engine bay is quite dirty, so you don't want to get any of that contamination on the bulb itself, or it's going to decrease the bulb's life. These bulbs do get very hot. Next point is, how do you know you need to replace your bulb? In my instance, my one driver's side light still turns on, but it turns on very dim at first, and it's more of like a dark yellow orangish hue, and then it gets brighter and brighter and brighter, and that's how you know your bulb's starting to go and is on the very fringes of not working. Sometimes you turn your lights on, you may not get anything, in which case the bulb is obviously shot. But in either regard, once those begin to happen, you do want to go ahead and replace those bulbs. So a good note also, I went to Advanced Auto Parts to buy this one. I bought it in the store. It was $148 with tax and everything. Then I went online to buy it, and they had 20% off online, which is typical for Advanced Auto Parts. You can also use your perks to get up to $10 off, depending on how many perks you have. So I actually saved about $40 per bulb buying it through Advanced Auto Parts online versus buying it in store. So a huge advantage there for purchasing online and creating an account through Advanced Auto Parts. They don't sponsor this video. I'm just letting you guys know that's the best way to save some money. So we're going to begin by removing this air filter. It's pretty straightforward. If you guys did the IAT relocation like I did, I'm going to just go ahead, squeeze and remove that electrical connector. Then I'm going to undo these two clips back here. These are to unlock your upper housing to change the air filter out. And then lastly, we're going to go ahead and remove this hose back here. It just slides off. And then you want to loosen this hose clamp too to remove the top of this filter, or the top of this housing. And by the way, this uses a 5/16. So with that upper portion removed with the air filter housing, you can see you still can't get your hand back here, so we need to go ahead and remove this lower portion. Now if you look down here, there are two rubber grommets that hold on to these pins, so you go ahead and pull that up. It's going to remove right away, and go ahead and slide this out. With that out of the way, you now have a space to reach your hand in here. It is still tight though, because keep in mind this is in this way back corner right here. So way down here is where your bulb is. I'm gonna go ahead and get a flashlight and get you guys a better view. Alright. So this is the bulb itself. What you're looking at back there is the actual ballast. So come over here, the bulb. This is what we're looking at, is this back portion right here. Where the ballast is, and then you can see right here there's a single connector, and we need to go ahead and remove that connector from the light. But as you can see back here real quick, it is on a nice little cable, so there is space to be able to go ahead and pull that out just a little bit. So the next thing I found to be useful, when you're trying to put your hand in here, this can kind of get in the way. This isn't really attached to anything, but there is, right down here, there is a wire. Let me get you guys in there. So you do want to make sure that you get some kind of usually a trim removal tool to pull this out from this clip down here. So we went ahead and removed that lower part. Now there's plenty of space. Now, there is a trick to these HID bulbs. As you can see in here, I removed it. But around the bulb, there is a little black housing. It's a little ring. So that black ring locks onto this ballast. And it's actually right here. It kind of encompasses this part right here. So the bulb itself, show you guys this. So the bulb itself has this ring around it. You can see right here there's a spot for something to go in here and a spot over here, and there's this like a loop underneath it, so it kind of grabs on underneath here to secure the bulb in place. So you have to twist it counterclockwise. That allows these grooves to line up, this one and this one, and allows the bulb to then be pulled back out. So again, you go in here and put your fingers in there. You'll be able to feel for, it's kind of like two little fins that stick out coming towards you, and you just gotta rotate them. It's very difficult to get your hand in there and twist it, because mine was a little bit stuck. You need to rotate it. You'll be able to feel it move a few degrees, and that's when it kind of clicks and stops moving, and you go ahead and pull this ballast and bulb straight back. And you can see here that there's a little bit of space on this this cable to pull it out. Alright. I'm telling you guys right now, this is going to not be easy. So, on this little electrical connector, there's a button or a tab right here. Let me try and get a little closer. It's It's right in the center, right where my thumb is. You see how it's moving? It's a little tab. That locks in right where this little squarish hole is. There. On top. Something small in the back, but this is where it grabs, is right here. So, what we need to do is press this back tab in. You can see it moving. And that's going to allow you to pull out this little wire. So this next step, put your gloves on, grab your light. Now, this I can't record because it's going to be too difficult to keep the bulb clean and record at the same time. We're going to begin by attaching the electrical connector to this. You can see in here there are 3 pins. It's kind of hard for the camera to see. 3 gold pins. You don't want to bend those. So put your connector in first, carefully, click into place. Then very carefully begin winding this bulb into the housing. Now remember how the video looked when we pulled it out. It was in like this, with this connector facing straight down. When you feed it in, make sure you feed it in perfectly straight. Don't touch the side walls of the light housing. Keep it straight in there and push it in. And then once it's connected and pushed in, you're going to twist that outer ring clockwise to secure it in there. Okay, let's do it. Alright, one more thing. When you look at this connector, you can see that there's a little step right here. Right, so it's not perfectly rectangular. There's a little step. This step needs to match the same step indent on the connector. Otherwise you'll put it in upside down and it won't go in. Just verify that connector matches this orientation before you try and plug it in. So during installation, remember that there are these metal fingers. See right here. Right in the side of the ballast. So when you're installing the ballast, you gotta go in this way. And then you gotta make sure that on this side and this side right here, those fingers don't get bent. So you have, I think there's 4 fingers here and 4 fingers here. So you're installing it straight, right? You have your fingers here, those 4 fingers on this side, and you push it straight in. Then you want to grab that circular, those 2 tabs we talked about, and rotate them clockwise. I'm telling you right now, it's not easy. It's frustrating to get to. It's hard to get it out. It's hard to get it in without damaging it, without kinking that wire. It's hard to not bend those metal fingers, at least for me. And then rotating that clockwise is also very difficult. So we got one side done. It'll take me about 2 minutes to put the airbox back together. Remember, before you finish up, make sure you reattach this. Reattach that cap back to your headlight housing. And then we move to passenger side. So before you move on, make sure you turn your lights to make sure it's working. It is here. You can see the difference here. This is my bad bulb. So you can talked about that yellowish, brownish, orange hue. So you can see there's a definite difference in the two. This bulb was always fine. Like I said, you should change both at once. It's been quite a while. If one goes, the other one's going to go right behind it. So you can see this guy needs to go next. Alright, so on the left is the damaged, burnt out bulb. On the right is the so on the left is the bad bulb, on the right is the good bulb. I cannot see any discernible difference in the two. I was wondering if it was easy to spot it. There'd be a burnt spot. There is a bit of a burnt spot in the middle where this bubble is, but that's both that's the same on both bulbs. So I don't see any actual difference in the two of them. Let me get the new one. This is the new one. That I thought was a burnt spot, and it's exactly the same on this one too. I know it's hard to see at the glare, but there's no difference visually in a new bulb or an old bulb, in a dead bulb or in a live bulb. So, quick note, I left the ECU in place. I didn't actually need to remove it. So when I went in there to go twist that locking ring, on the driver's side I used both tabs twisted. On here I couldn't get a good grip. I just pushed on one tab and I actually was able to rotate it and get it out and then pull this out. So from my learning experience, I recommend doing driver's side first. You can pull this out the way. You can actually get your head in there. You can see what's going on. You can get a flashlight. You can get a feel for what I'm talking about in the video. And once you do this one and you know what you're getting into and what to expect, that becomes much easier. If you try and do the passenger side first, you're going to be trying to figure out what I'm talking about for the little fingers on the side and what I'm talking about for the electrical connection tab, and what I mean by the rotating lock on there. So if you're going to do both, start with this. I got this one out in maybe 2 minutes. This one took me about at least an hour. Alright, all said and done, this side took me about probably 10-12 minutes. Driver's side about an hour, a little bit over an hour. Again, a big learning curve. Once you know what you're doing, you can do this side. I couldn't even see what I was doing. I did it all by feel, and I was able to get it all done, knowing what was on, again, the driver's side. Okay, that's it. Hope you guys appreciate the video. Go ahead and comment, like, and let's get a conversation started below. Thanks.